a tie to an account with a financial institution. The ledger shows that who you are, who you gave it to. So the risk of any fraudulent activity is reduced to a minimum. So to give you a bit of a history on the project itself, we issued an invitation for expression of interest during the second quarter of 2018. We had 30 qualified submissions received, 14 of which were from locally based firms. We formed a selection committee, and we shortlisted 6 companies. The Bahamas, Canada, Japan, and the United States were where those companies were based. And from the 6 shortlisted entities, we asked them to respond to an RFP that we sent out to them. Again, an evaluation committee was formed with external experts to review those RFPs. We shortlisted and invited in-person presentations from the companies that we thought could actually deliver on this project. Proposals were evaluated based on rigorous requirements and criteria, and NASIA was selected as the preferred vendor of choice. This is a company that is made up of a partnership between IBM, Nuri Holdings, and Zenesys. We signed a contract with the selected company on June 30th between Central Bank and the company to start the Sand Dollar project. We started with Exuma. My guess is that because Exuma has a number of keys associated with it, so you have a big island called Great Exuma, and then you have a number of small little islands that probably do not have financial services on them, but they should have internet connectivity. So this would be a perfect pilot that would allow us to identify any issues or challenges with rolling out this digital currency. So that pilot is currently going on in the island of Exuma. What we're expecting, consumers will have access to a mobile wallet. So the Sand Dollar will be an app on your phone. The company that's rolling out this project has promised to involve and create a number of opportunities for local persons to create different fintech technologies that integrates with this Sand Dollar. So a number of business opportunities will be available to local talent and possibly international talent to get on board with this project as well. Persons will be able to send funds directly from person to person and to receive payments from other entities such as government and employers. So persons could, any financial transaction you can do now using a regular bank via cash, check, or credit card, you will be able to do using this digital currency. Every individual to have a Sand Dollar wallet and to enable every business to be able to accept and make payments in Sand Dollars. Looking forward, once the Sand Dollar project actually rolls out in 2020, we do want to strengthen exchange control regulation and our AML safeguards, because eventually we do want to take the currency international, so you could be able to exchange Sand Dollars across borders. Policy and legislative reforms updated to accommodate the functional aspect of a digital currency. So with every project, there must be governance and policy updates are required with that. That's going to be the central bank, the draft central bank of the Bahamas bill in 2019. Safeguards to satisfy exchange control regulations. Again, more policy. Anti-money laundering and terrorist financing, monitoring and control specifications to ensure complementary as opposed to material sustainability for existing banking services, and public education and promotion program. So with the rollout, you need the citizens to be on board, educated, aware of what you're doing, why you're doing it, how it's going to benefit them, how to use the new technology, and that would almost guarantee you success. So in conclusion, blockchain and digital currency have potential to introduce a more efficient payment and settlement framework. It will enable unprecedented opportunities for technological and economic growth. Central bank would work steadfastly with private and public sectors to engender the necessary reforms, and the central bank is committed to continuously monitor any regional and international development. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charles. Well, we're going to have the panel at once, right? So that's okay that you see. Yeah. So, my God, I can't believe that's the last presentation, is it? Right? Every good thing has an end, right? So let's conclude it with a blowout and have a great panel discussion. We had one yesterday, but also remember what we've been saying since this morning. If you have questions for the presenters of the morning, right, it will be the opportunity to ask them, Mrs. Metellus, Mr. Dolin, right? We didn't get a chance to ask them questions. And then after the coffee break this morning, we had two great presentations too, and we had a little back and forth with them. So if you have more to say about it, so that's the time to do that. And if now there are some lingering issues from yesterday's presentations, we can bring them back here too, right? That's the concluding exchange that we are going to engage in. So that's it. Let's do it. Who wants to start?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Sumitra McKinney from the Central Bank of the Bahamas. I have a question. I think it can be answered by several people in the group. I really was wondering about the strategy you're using to promote financial inclusion, and whether when you are assessing if you have a survey you're doing, if you're considering intangible criteria. And why I'm asking is, in my experience working as a part of the Project $1 project, we're finding out that people have trust issues that may not be simply because of inaccessibility, that these trust issues may be because of beliefs or an understanding that the systems may not be secure, or lack of information, or just simply not having trust because of religion. And I'm wondering if those types of conversations have been had when considering financial inclusion.
Thank you. I think I can answer to this question. And regarding the several surveys we had, and in one of the issue from people not accessing financial products in terms of credit, and is one of the answer is lack of trust in the system. So a way for us to face that is to raise awareness through marketing, right? And then explain to the people the benefit they can have. And I think that the strategy that we have on education will help with the trust issue that people in Haiti has to access those financial services.
I have one more question, sorry. And again, this question is about how you're promoting. Um, this is a concern for me generally as we go about promoting inclusion, is that we are not providing information security awareness to, and this is to users. I find that a concern I may have as a, let me go back a little bit, especially vendors who may be underserved and in rural and remote areas. We're asking them to perform a task or to be a part of an ecosystem where they're going to now use some form of technology. What I'm not hearing a lot in the conversations is how do we address the concerns surrounding security? One, because this is more than just education about savings and investments and how you, it's about if I don't understand how to keep my information secure, you run the risk of someone saying, here's my phone, can you put this money on for me? And I think we're essentially introducing new forms of security risk if we're not educating them specifically on usage and then secondly on security.
I think this question is more for an IT person from the bank. Edison, Jetro, Dolin.
I get to take a stab at it. I'm kind of an IT person. But I think in educating persons, it's always, the best way I find to do that is to relate to them on what they know and use that as a catalyst or a springboard for what they don't know. So in the example that Simitria gave, it's easy to tell someone that your money, how much ever money you have, is now on your phone. So whatever cash you had in your pocket, that is now on your phone. So if you want to give your cash to someone to do a transaction on your behalf, that is essentially what you're doing when you give them your phone.
So I don't have real data on this, but I know, I'm aware that when ATM cards was introduced, a big issue that banks had was that people would share their PIN. And it was a major issue simply because the education was, people didn't, I think we didn't anticipate that this would be an issue. And so it was lost on users saying, we understand that your money in the bank, and if you get this card holds the key, access to this money. What I am asking is, are we considering these, this is not really a question as much as a comment, are we considering these types of things so that we're not repeating this mistake? So that, similar to the ATM cards, older people who may not be as tech savvy aren't passing on their phones to their cousin and grandchildren to perform actions. Because I can see it, I have an older parent, and I would imagine that as much education as I would try to provide for her, that if she couldn't figure out how to work this, she might say, do this for me. And that's something that we need to consider in how we provide this level of education so that we're not using broad brush to address smaller issues.
Question, how many people have online banking on their phones?
Me?
Show of hands. Okay. The trend now in the Bahamas is commercial banks are pushing customers to now use online banking either on their computer or on their phone. I can't tell you the last time I've been into a bank branch every transaction, if I have to transfer money from one account to another, pay a bill, everything is done from my phone, because that is the direction a lot of the commercial banks are now pushing customers into. But to Sumitria's point, I think as central banks, we have a responsibility, but we also need to push on the commercial banks to do their part.
Oui, donc si je peux ajouter quelque chose, bon, je pense que c'est plutôt mon avis sur la question. Je me sens concerné aussi par les questions de sécurité. Et comme l'avait si bien dit Dolin, un des maillons faibles, vraiment, c'est l'utilisateur. Et comme l'a souligné aussi notre collègue du Bahamas. Mais je pense que d'après moi, ça prendra beaucoup plus. Dans ces applications que nous allons développer, je pense qu'il faut penser à la sécurité dès la conception de ces applications et ensuite dans la configuration de ces applications, bien sûr, avec beaucoup de sensibilisation et de formation, parce que lorsqu'on a des utilisateurs basiques en informatique, alors que nous savons très bien que par notre utilisation, nous devenons beaucoup plus vulnérables aussi face à certaines attaques. Donc, je pense que ça prendra la sécurité à tous les niveaux de développement de ces applications et aussi beaucoup de sensibilisation. Et je pense que là, on pourra au moins limiter les dégâts. Merci. Et sinon, j'ai une question pour Madame Metellus. Donc, j'aimerais savoir, donc vous avez dit qu'il y a 46% de personnes qui sont exclues financièrement. Mais donc avec toutes ces mesures que prend la BRH, vous avez parlé de 5 piliers où vous investissez beaucoup. Et maintenant, est-ce qu'il existe un mécanisme qui permettra de mesurer l'impact de toutes ces mesures sur le nombre, le pourcentage de personnes qui sont exclues financièrement? Je pense que ça permettra de savoir maintenant sur quel pilier accentuer vos efforts et pour mieux maintenant réduire ce pourcentage au cours des ans. Merci.
Merci pour la question, M. Lalanne. Et effectivement, une phase qu'on a au niveau de la stratégie, c'est monitoring and evaluating. C'est pour évaluer les progrès. Okay, nous travaillons sur des stratégies là. Et aussi, je dois te dire que l'unité d'inclusion financière est une unité transversale. Nous recevons beaucoup de données. Nous travaillons avec la direction de la supervision et la direction des caisses à la banque. Alors nous recevons régulièrement ces données-là. Et ces données-là, nous les traitons au niveau de l'unité d'inclusion financière. Et déjà, ça nous permet de voir les progrès qui se font sur le territoire national. Et bon, à travers ça, nous pouvons mesurer l'impact. Et aussi FinScope, l'enquête qu'on a FinScope 2018, cette enquête-là, ça se fait sur une base annuelle normalement, mais l'enquête coûte cher. Pour te dire franchement, je ne sais pas, on espère que dans 3 ans, on pourra reconduire cette enquête-là. Et ça va être harmonisé, comme c'est dans le sens que puisque c'est FinScope qu'on va utiliser, ok, si on fait même FinScope dans 3 ans, ok, ce seront les mêmes questions, tout et tout, alors it's going to be fair, the results will be fair, so we can be able to analyze better the impact of financial inclusion. So yes, at the unit of financial inclusion, we think about how to monitor.
My question, I don't think I got the answer that I wanted for my question. I was really trying to dive down to if you recognize that there's lots of the users, they're not the underserved, they're not a part of the financial service sector because of trust. Have you dived down to find out why this trust exists? And this is also important because as we at the Central Bank of Bahamas, we are piloting our Project Sandola. This is information that's important to us So some of this, and this is my theory, I believe that some of it may have some religious components to it. Certainly, maybe as a result of age. But do you have any data on why this lack of trust exists?
Okay, one way to answer this is some of them say that the fees are too high. Like they can't understand why are fees being so high for what they call a so-called basic service. So that's one of the reasons that comes to mind. And then regarding cultural religion belief, no, it's not part of our culture to refrain from like financial services. But another cultural I might say is maybe like men versus women. Men have tends to use more like financial services because women tends to like use we are the how to say that les potomitans de la famille women, but we use like financial services in informal ways. So I don't know if that
No, yeah, that's better. And I'm kind of driving this point across is because this is a discussion that we're having now at the Central Bank of the Bahamas. If people are going to, if we're going to implement a product, then we want usability of this product. What will stop people from using the sand dollar, this digital fiat? And part of understanding all areas of trust or lack of trust.
Yes, and then this is, I mentioned that in my presentation as well. As you said, usage is important. We want people to use the financial services, but the accessibility and the quality is important for us too. And those are considered to be the basic indicators for financial inclusion.
Talking about fees, I have a question for Charles. Do you get charged fees for using online banking, or is it totally free no matter how many transactions you make?
No, online banking is free. That's why I use it.
And also I can also answer to that question. One of the reasons why I love using Zelle for transaction is because there's no fee for it. There's no fee, and the money is available almost instantly. And yes, I think online banking should be free. Yeah.
Guys, you're not saying that you only use things that are free. It's not what you're saying, right?
I'm saying my time is valuable, especially when I don't have an opportunity. If you go, I don't know how the banks in Haiti are, but if you go to any bank, any commercial bank in the Bahamas, it's at least a 20 to 45-minute wait before you get in the face of someone that could actually help you.
Mm-hmm.
That's an inconvenience for me.
That's good for everybody, right? Thank you. Right? It was a joke, right? Anyone else? Yes, sir.
This question is for Charles. You said with the rollout of the sand dollar that you would start off with 100 nodes. Are these nodes in the Bahamas, and are they managed by the central bank? Also, I know that in the case of Bitcoin, they allow persons to become miners and give them an incentive to do this. Was that ever considered by the bank? Because I'm assuming the cost of managing 100 nodes is,
From what I know, all of the nodes will be managed in the Bahamas. And to your second point, I haven't heard any talk, even though I'm sure it will come up, about having other persons manage nodes and mine the sand dollar. But I can tell you this, and I didn't want to mention it in my presentation. Based on the cost of electricity in the Bahamas, you may not have too many takers as miners, unless the incentive can pay your light bills.
I ask because if the central bank is managing this themselves, I would find it hard to think that transactions would be free. They would have to recover that cost, right?
I'm going to chime in here a little bit, Charles. So I think one of the things to be clear is this isn't a distributed ledger in the sense that we understand blockchain to be. The central bank owns and manages this. So that's the first thing to answer your first question about the 100 nodes. The other thing is, I don't know if we've determined cost associated with this, because as this is an addition to our Bahamian fiat, we don't necessarily charge someone for $1 when they come in to get that dollar. So I don't know of fees being associated with this, however, not from the central bank. However, we will be using other service providers, because this fiat needs to be transferable and usable through other service providers, or fintech service providers.
Okay, I would say at a minimum, you would have the commercial banks, because remember, one of the points I made was you could have a regular savings account and a sand dollar account with a commercial bank and transfer funds between the two. So I would imagine that a commercial bank would want to have at least, or be at least a part of that network to maintain the ledger.
Yeah, you kind of answered part of it, but I want a clarification. So the $100 account, okay, a person can hold an account without a commercial bank?
Yes.
So technically, what are the role, let's say, the success. So what are the role of the commercial banks into this big picture? How do you see it in the future?
That's a good question. Right now, basically, the rollout of the sand dollar is still in its initial phases, so very, very young. We're doing it as a rollout for exchange of payments domestically. So banks, commercial banks especially, will still be relied on for international payment settlements. The focus is going to be geared towards those persons in remote areas that do not have access to traditional banking services. So we are working with the commercial banks. We're not trying to replace commercial banks with this initiative.
So they are on board with the project, and they are part of the stakeholders making the decisions, or?
Yes, you can imagine that with a big shift. Oh, sorry. You can imagine that if the commercial banks weren't a part of this project, the type of economic shift that would occur as a result of not using the commercial banks. Also, this is also a way to build trust and to build these relationships between the underserved and the commercial banks. So this is, again, not to replace the commercial bank, not to replace the actual physical cash. This is to enhance those mechanisms. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah, I have another question because it's an interesting topic. I know you mentioned part of the program is financial literacy as well for the $10. And what level of acceptance do you expect? Do you have a survey already to know what acceptance? What is the feedback from the Bahamian people?
So, Charles. So we've done surveys already, but we are currently in the process of doing a survey right now to determine the emotional feelings and just to get an understanding of how users will accept the digital currency. So that's going on right now.
Thank you.
I think that was part of the reason I was asking my questions, because these are some of the conversations that we're having about usability of the currency.
Yes. Pour moi, et personnellement, bon, pas personnellement, et c'est pas nécessairement une question que je vais poser. Justement, c'est juste par rapport à la fin. Par rapport à la fin, mais bon, je pense qu'on arrive à la fin maintenant. Et par rapport à tout ce qu'on a dit, et on a parlé d'inclusion financière, on a parlé de paiement digital, de online banking. And from a central bank perspective and also commercial bank perspective, what do you think about the future of payment, either here in Haiti or in the Bahamas? Do you think that moving towards digital payment is a feasible way of thinking, or do you think that there's no chance, or we should back out and stay where we are? So I'm trying to engage some sort of discussion to see what are the takeaways you've had so far from this conference.
And if I may quickly, either here in Haiti or in the Bahamas or in Belize, we
Yes,
also have our
Belize.
guests from
Yes.
the Central Bank of Belize.
Yes.
I'm going to go first. I think we have a responsibility as central bankers to be a part of the overall implementation of modernization of payment systems. I think if we aren't a part of it, we will quickly see a black market for it, or it being done in a way that we don't approve of. So currently in the Bahamas, at the risk of sharing our dirty laundry, we have a gambling service. So you can go online and you can gamble. But what they do is they have an account, so everyone can put their money on the account. Keep in mind that this service is in every island of the Bahamas. So right now, if I want to quickly send some money to my mother who lives in another island from Nassau, I can essentially put this money on her supposedly gambling service account, and she can receive that money in minutes and seconds, actually. But that's not, no one is, the regulatory framework for that doesn't exist. So it's important that we central bankers lead the initiative on how we want to see payment systems evolve, or certainly be a part of the conversation. And this is not to hinder creativity, but to make sure that we're considering risk. Because creative people, they don't have time to consider risk. That's why they're creative people. However, risk exists, and it's a real thing, and it's our duty as central bankers to be involved and not take a seat back and wait for these things to evolve, and then we rise up. So that's my point.
I'll just put in my 2 cents. So I think what we have to remember, and I was reminded of this the other day, even central bankers or central banks are at their core businesses. We make money, but it actually costs money to make money. A colleague of mine was telling me the other day, it costs more to make a penny than the penny is actually worth. So if you were to move to a different type of currency, because digital currency, on the face of it, doesn't really cost you anything to make. You could make as much digital currency as you need and distribute as much as you need. Once you have the same regulatory and other frameworks and policies in place, it costs very little. I'm sure it'll probably cost, and I'm sure they've run the numbers. It would cost less to have digital currency in circulation than it would to have physical currency in circulation. I'm not saying that is the primary driver, but it definitely is a factor.
Je pense que, et également dans la même direction que Samechuya, je pense que quelque part on ne peut pas stopper la créativité ni l'innovation. Des modèles de business à l'heure actuelle n'existaient pas 5 ans, 10 ans de cela. Mais par contre, ils font des fortunes. Ce que je pense, c'est de trouver exactement une balance entre comment encourager la création, la créativité et l'innovation, tout en gardant notre rôle de superviseur. Et ce que j'entends par là, c'est justement ne pas empêcher avec des règlements, des circulaires ou bien comme encore pénalités, mais justement accompagner le plus que possible. Parce que, surtout pour le cas d'Haïti, je pense qu'il y a un marché intéressant. Et la majorité de la population n'a pas vraiment accès à des services financiers de qualité. Et je pense que ça aussi, c'est un champ d'innovation que l'on peut encourager en ce sens. Those are my 2 cents.
I want to add something. I think, as Edison said and as Sami said, I think us as central bankers, regulators, we cannot stop what's going on, but rather accompanying those new type of businesses. Otherwise, we will be like les dinosaures, là, on voit. Une espèce qui existait dans le temps et là maintenant c'est dans les musées qu'ils existent. Alors je n'aimerais pas que les banques centrales soient comme ces dinosaures-là. Merci.
Dinosaur.
Donc, dans la perspective de Banque Centrale, dinosaure potentiel, étant donné que nous avons aussi des représentants du secteur bancaire haïtien dans la salle, et pas des moindres. Donc, sans les mettre sous les feux de la rampe, je voudrais leur dire de se sentir complètement confortables, de donner leur point de vue sur cette question, particulièrement l'affaire de dinosaurité. Oui. Donc, alors là, si on n'a plus personne à intervenir, laissez-moi remercier tout le monde pour ces échanges-là, hein, encore une fois fructueux, et laissez-moi vous annoncer que le gouverneur de la Banque Centrale d'Haïti, M. Jean-Baden Dubois, qui est en voyage, donc bien entendu, qui ne pouvait pas être avec nous hier et aujourd'hui, mais qui était, grâce aux moyens technologiques là, à nous suivre en ligne. Donc, pris par le virus de l'activité intellectuelle qui s'est passée, donc il a voulu dire un petit mot, vous saluer et exprimer lui-même ses sentiments à l'égard de ce qu'il a vécu. Monsieur le gouverneur, est-ce que vous m'entendez? Gouverneur? gouverneur, je suis en train de faire un petit geste là. C'est pour vous. Vous m'entendez? Ah. Vous m'entendez, gouverneur? Bonsoir, gouverneur.
Vous nous entendez, gouverneur? Oui, très bien. Est-ce que vous m'entendez? Est-ce que vous m'entendez? Eh bien, allez sur l'écran là. Non, est-ce que vous m'entendez? Oui, oui, oui. On vous écoute, gouverneur. Allez-y donc. Ah, ok. D'accord. Donc, je suis en fait, je suis dans l'air, pas vrai? Je ne sais pas si vous m'entendez. En tout cas, je voudrais souhaiter la bienvenue à tous les participants de cette réunion. Je regrette de ne pas pouvoir être avec vous physiquement, car j'étais avec vous depuis hier à travers YouTube. Et je dois vous féliciter pour la qualité des présentations. J'ai assisté à peut-être 3 ou 4 présentations, mais c'était des présentations de bonne facture. Et je voudrais vraiment profiter pour souhaiter la bienvenue à tous nos amis de différents pays de la Caraïbe. Et surtout, je voudrais qu'ils sachent qu'ils sont ici chez eux en Haïti. Comme on le dit en anglais, it's your home away from home. Et les gouverneurs de toutes les banques centrales sont des amis personnels. Et je voudrais... J'ai instruit mon staff de façon à vous accueillir de manière majestueuse et j'espère qu'ils ont été à la hauteur. Et je voudrais que vous soyez, que vous deveniez pour nous les ambassadeurs d'Haïti auprès de vos banques centrales, auprès de votre pays. Et comme vous allez pouvoir le constater, ce qui se dit dans les médias est très souvent très éloigné de ce qui se passe effectivement en Haïti. Et vraiment, à vous tous, je vous souhaite bienvenue en Haïti et certainement nous aurons l'occasion encore de nous revoir et profitez bien de l'ambiance qui va être créée spécialement pour vous. Je sais que vous avez bien travaillé, je sais que les présentations ont été extraordinaires et j'aurais aimé être là, vu que en fait, à un certain moment, la première réunion des responsables de technologie en Haïti, ça a été organisé pendant que j'étais responsable de technologie à la Banque Centrale. Et alors, je vous dis que c'est vraiment dommage que je ne puisse pas être là à cause d'autres obligations qui ont été... et ça a été très dur de faire un arbitrage, mais je veux que vous sachiez que je suis avec vous de cœur et que je veux vous souhaiter en fait un bon séjour en Haïti. Ne venez pas seulement pour des conférences, venez aussi pour pouvoir passer du temps avec vos amis haïtiens et à vous tous, à chacun de vous. Je veux vous dire que vous serez toujours les bienvenus si vous venez en Haïti, que ce soit pour vacances ou pour travail, ce sera avec plaisir. Je crois aussi que ceci permettra de resserrer les liens entre les responsables technologiques. Il y a tellement de challenges et de défis quand on parle de technologie. Je sais que vous avez créé un groupe pour la cybercriminalité que je suis un petit peu. Et je voudrais que vous continuiez cette collaboration et surtout que vous avez terminé votre deuxième journée de travail. Profitez de la soirée, surtout profitez de la journée de demain pour découvrir une autre facette d'Haïti. Encore une fois, je vous souhaite la bienvenue et c'est avec plaisir et les bras ouverts que nous vous accueillons. Bienvenue chez nous en Haïti, bienvenue chez vous, considérez-vous comme chez vous et surtout, je demande à mon staff de s'assurer que vous avez en fait, vous ayez la chance d'expérimenter en fait ce que Haïti a à vous offrir. Merci et bonne fin d'après-midi et bon séjour encore en Haïti.
Time again for
Ok, encore 2 minutes. On va commencer dans 2 minutes. C'est pas 15 minutes. Dans 2 minutes, on recommence. Ok, merci de reprendre place. Et nous allons en cette fin de journée et parler d'abord de la journée de demain, mais aussi j'aurai besoin du groupe de banques locales, de nos invités, parce que à la première journée, j'avais annoncé que la Banque centrale compte organiser une conférence locale pour les banques, le système financier haïtien. Et c'est de ça que je voulais vous entretenir en quelques mots. D'abord, le modèle, c'est ce modèle-là. Donc, c'est sur le modèle de cette conférence que sera organisée bientôt une conférence pour les banques et institutions financières locales en Haïti. La Banque centrale sera le leader pour l'organisation de cette conférence où seront invités les banques, globalement les institutions financières d'Haïti. Cette conférence se fera sur 2 jours au lieu de 3. Ici, pour la conférence des banques centrales de la Caraïbe, ça se passe sur 3 jours, mais pour la conférence, on prend l'habitude de l'appeler conférence annuelle des spécialistes informatiques d'institutions financières en Haïti, on le fera sur 2 journées. Des pistes de réflexion sont déjà là pour l'organisation. La Unibank a beaucoup participé aux discussions. Franz P. Antoine, qui n'est pas avec nous aujourd'hui, et a eu déjà des réflexions avec le gouverneur en ce sens, avec la direction information et technologie. Et on a eu la chance de travailler avec Sogebank, mais à l'époque, on travaillait avec UD, qui a d'abord participé à l'élaboration du document pour mettre en place le document une synthèse du document de la création de l'entité. Les affaires juridiques de la Banque centrale aussi ont partagé avec les banques au début un document sur la création de l'entité qu'ils ont proposé CACIF et que nous allons, au niveau des responsables informatiques des banques, d'abord continuer le travail, planifier et mettre en un agenda pour la réalisation de l'événement. J'allais cet après-midi profiter des 5 minutes que j'avais demandé aux représentants des banques locales et entamer une petite discussion avec vous autour du sujet. Tandis que à la salle à côté, on va avoir une réunion avec les représentants des banques étrangères. Je vais parler du Belize et Bahamas, et avec M. Ludovic, M. Eugène, Mani, Edison, pour compléter la journée avec eux, business meeting on the other one. I'll ask Eugène and Edison to take them with you on the other room so we can share with them about the business meeting. For this, we're going to talk with the local people. Right now, we can do it right now. Thank you. Maybe probably Ludovic is going to join you too to share with you about this. Ok, merci. Là, nous sommes entre nous et seuls. Je ne pense pas que nous ayons besoin de traducteurs simultanés. Et on va rapidement faire le point sur ce que je proposais tout à l'heure. Mais d'abord, j'avais voulu quand même vous demander, des banques participantes, ce soir, de faire... D'abord, je prends quelques réactions par rapport à l'organisation globale de l'événement, parce qu'aujourd'hui est le dernier jour de la conférence. Demain, ce sera plutôt une journée qu'on appelle le Networking Day, où on aura à faire des excursions, des visites guidées. Donc, une visite a été prévue d'abord pour aller visiter le musée de la Banque Centrale dans la matinée. Et après le musée, ce sera au musée du Panthéon National. Ensuite, le CAH. Et en soirée, il y aura un dîner qu'on a l'habitude d'appeler le dîner du gouverneur, pour lequel vous êtes tous conviés. Donc, j'espère que vous serez tous là demain soir. Ça se passera à Assou. Pour le dîner du gouverneur, on aura à partager ensemble et on aura l'occasion de rencontrer d'autres personnes de la Banque Centrale aussi qui seront invitées à ce dîner. Maintenant, au Tchid Amico, je voudrais d'abord, avant d'entamer, que j'ai quelques petites réactions sur l'organisation, sur votre participation. Si vous avez des remarques, c'est l'occasion de les faire. Donc d'abord, nous avons été quand même, enfin, je vous remercie quand même, la Banque Centrale vous remercie pour votre présence. Toutes les banques invitées ont répondu et nous sommes vraiment bien contents de cette relation, de la manière dont tout ça s'est passé. Donc d'abord, je prends quelques réactions. Ensuite, on va parler de l'organisation de la réunion que nous souhaitons avoir. Et probablement, le gouverneur avait souhaité que ça ait lieu avant la fin de l'année. On n'a pas une date retenue, mais on va travailler avec vous autres. Et puisque vous allez avoir